Can you become the Bannerlord in Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord with only the power of trade? Long story short, yes, but it gets really overpowered, so stick around because we've got quite the story. Meet Paul, our Tradies. He's a very basic guy, other than the fact he's got the charisma-based stat of a Greek Adonis and the mental computing power of Aristotle. A polymath with polyabs that is about to rise from simple, humble trader to multi-millionaire warlord who'll crush the empire. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you haven't already. I've heard it improves your credit score, and trust me, Paul will be checking. And remember to leave a like on this video. Alright, let's find out where Paul began, shall we? Paul's journey, like all potential Bannerlords, started in the fields of Poros. Now, normally in Bannerlord, you'd want to wander around and hire some peasants to command, but Paul knows you have to spend money to make money. So, instead, Paul rushed into the nearest village to find what goods were on sale, and right away, we found our first cash cow. Pigs. So cash pigs. Ooh, like those money banks. Pigs are great as you don't need to worry about carrying them and they just follow you and eat your food. But just in case, we picked up some guys to improve our carry weight and then attempted to head home. Suddenly, a bunch of boys jumped out of the woods and tried to steal Paul's pigs. Time to show them who's boss. 7 versus 21. Oh boy, this will take some time. Luckily, we've got a number of spears, a horse, and time on our hands. Rule 1 of Bannerland, cardio. 2 hours of riding round in circles, remembering the controls and abject frustration, Paul was really starting to thin the herd, and eventually he won, gaining his first level up and a boatload of loot to reimburse us for the losses of our workforce. With the extra pocket change, we decided to invest in smithing, which, although we didn't have the natural aptitude for, what with it being an endurance stat, combining this with our trading down the line would really help line those pockets. Paul headed over to Vostrum, where, wouldn't you know it, he could make a profit on his pigs and sell off the wrought iron from smithing with a good amount of cash back. Paul was about to make his first successful trade and with it reach his first trade perk. With the cash, it was time he continued home, where he would pick up some more goods and a few camels. This is where he would begin his trade runs. Paul was also keen to keep on learning how to smith. If you're becoming a trade lord, you might as well become an industry titan too. But carrying loads of money around does lead you to get mugged a lot. Luckily, Paul's workers have this lot handled while he takes a mud nap. It's fine. Paul gets to melt down all of their worldly possessions and belongings now. Now, pigs are okay money, but the real market niche in Paul's eyes are things you can throw. Let me introduce to you his business, Tradies Yeet Emporium. And as his smithing increases, the more knives and javelins he has to sell and unlock. Honestly, capitalism has nothing on beating up hooligans, relieving them of their stuff, melting it down, and mass-producing weapons of war from it. What do you mean that's the foundation of our society? For his industry to flourish, though, he'd need to buy tons of hardwood and keep robbing bands of looters. Once wood was secured, Paul found the stronger he got, the more wealthy he got. And with that, Paul, our Tradies, began to get ambitious. He began to live a life of luxury, starting new businesses by opening caravans. He became channel members on videos from dashing YouTubers from the UK. He funded sports events. He became charitable by lending his advanced weaponry to militaristic empires so that they could keep the poor in line. Real millionaire venture capitalist type stuff. It was then a man from Paul's past came knocking and talking about some sort of main quest. Sorry, pal, Paul was making Wonga. Anyway, this guy told Paul his brother was being held captive, so naturally Paul did what any millionaire would do and took the law into his own hands and killed the man. With Nanjan and the other siblings safe at home, the Tradies line would look to rise above its station and begin to rule nations. After all the billionaires are doing it these days. Money also buys an education, sensing an opportunity to become powerful. Paul looked to the people of the Azarai, who were beginning to war against the oppressive Khuzaits. Funding their war, he sought new wealth in the heat of battle. At the head of armies, Paul the Trader found himself capturing nobles, winning battle after battle. Battles turned to sieges, and Paul became famous across the Aserai, like he was some sort of messiah.
Listen, Gabe!
Eventually, he was called on by the Aserai king, who made him a lord of the realm, and then promptly sent Paul back to war. But something strange began to happen. We're not sure if it was down to Paul's dashing good looks or the vast amounts of wealth, but the lords just began to give him fiefs of his own to govern. And just like that, the Tradies were voted into office and given rulership. The hard-learned lessons of war had taught Paul well, and now with the real power of rulership over real people, he wanted more. So back to war he went. In the meantime, his brother had a lovely old time finding a wife and getting married, as well as his younger siblings coming of age. And everything seemed peaceful. But the king of the Aserai began to grow greedy, declaring more wars than he could handle. So, after a brief interlude to get married, it was time for the Tradies to become the masters of their own dynasty and forge their own kingdom. Now, all of Paul's wars will be deciding his fate, and his fate alone. The fate of the people of Arrakis. We checked, Caldradia doesn't have any copyright laws. This is all fine for us to call it this. But with Paul's wealth and knowledge of trade, he quickly understood everything has a price. The final city of the Southern Empire fell through the power of purse, their lords accepting a hefty sum of money. Next, the battered Battanian Empire would fall to the sword, and Paul would acquire the Dragon Banner. He began sieging down and buying cities everywhere. Plots formed against him. The game even tried exploits against him to stop his sieges, but it was of no use. With the power of purse, Paul of House Atreides would become the new Emperor of Caldrada. And with that, thank you for watching this Bannerlord's run. We actually lost all of the original VO for this video, but we wanted to share this story nonetheless. So we hope you enjoyed this cobbled together video. Finally, before you go, please consider hitting that sub button. It's free and we're fighting really hard to reach 100k by September of this year. Do your part. Paul the Billionaire will actually put you in his will if you do, you know, maybe. We might even revisit more Bannerlord, by the way, if this video gets, say, 750 likes? So give that like button a hit too. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Midgeman, and I will see you next time.